Okay, everybody, my VIP, my beloved brand. Now we're going to go into the exclusive interview just for you with myself and the legendary Stevie Ray, where we are going to finish up now. We're going to get more into when him and his brother Booker went their singles way, and we're going to kind of carry that through to where we are today. Stevie, are you ready to go with this round?
Yes.
Okay, there you are, my friend. There you are. Now, Stevie, I have to ask you this because I don't know the answer to this. Let's start in 1998. I know that you took some time off and you went away, and it was during that time that Booker became, I believe, the U.S. champion at WCW. Where did you go during that time?
I think I was injured. I think I was injured.
Was that the first time, basically, now that since you were injured, you were sidelined, Booker was working on his own?
Right.
Now he had some success as a singles. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stevie, but when you were ready to come back, I think Booker then got hurt, and you defended the title for him. Is that correct?
I vaguely remember it, but I think it was something to that effect.
Now, let me ask you this, Stevie. You're gone. You're injured. Booker now gets a taste of singles wrestling. He's successful. He's getting over. Now, when you come back, do we immediately talk about putting the team back together, or is the consensus, let's let Booker run? Let's unleash Stevie on his own and see how they do individually. And if that was the plan, how did you guys feel about it at that point?
Well, Vince, when you put it in that perspective, I think it's a little bit more legitimate when you put it like that. But I don't think anything was actually thought out as well as you just relayed a few seconds ago, because I don't think WCW really thought that clearly.
Well, it does. When I was going through the history today, Stevie, it kind of seemed like once you got hurt and you came back, and then Booker got hurt and then he came back, it just seemed to me that once you guys got back there healthy, it's almost like they didn't know what to do, and I can't imagine that because of the success you had the previously 5 years as a tag team. So to me, I'm looking at it like, what happened? Did something happen, or did they just not know how to book it?
Well, I think it's a little of everything above, but I think in WCW at that time, one man's opinion, I think you had some of the people in positions that were some of the most incompetent people on the face of God's green earth. So when you got some of the most incompetent people in positions of power, and I don't want to call any names, but if you look back at that time, a lot of the tag teams were dying off, and it was done purposely. So if you look at, in hindsight, you look back at that time, you look back at what was going on, like I said before, certain people are not about business. They got different agendas. And I think we as a tag team got caught up in that agenda. So we had to run with it, the way the chips fell at that time. So, hey, it was what it was, and that's the way I look at it.
Well, Stevie, it's interesting that you say that, because I never really went back in time to when, tag team wrestling more or less died. And now you're bringing us back to a specific point in time of your opinion. But if you remember what began when the tag team wrestling died, and that was the cruiserweights. That was when all the lucha libras came over from Mexico. They were on, every Nitro show. It started on Nitro. The WWE wasn't doing that at the beginning. So it almost seems now, when you look at the big picture, it almost seemed like that style of wrestling may be more or less replaced the traditional tag team wrestling. Now, even though, maybe you didn't agree with, some that might have been in charge at that time, do you think that was a conscious decision? And if so, why?
I don't know why. But yes, I do think it was a conscious decision. And I don't think it had anything to do with the luchadors. I don't think it had anything to do with um, other networks doing that thing. I think what it had to do with, if I was a betting man, is people have an agenda to do something different because they think they know what they're doing, but in all reality, they don't.
Yeah. Stevie, that always used to drive me crazy, bro, when I was writing for all these companies. And I'll tell you why, Stevie. I was always a numbers guy. Those Nielsen ratings come in every Monday, and those are the facts. They're going to tell you exactly what you need to know. You could break them down to the minute. Is Harlem Heat drawing as a team? Is Booker drawing a bigger number than Stevie Ray? It's all right there in front of you. That's why I lived and died by the numbers. But Stevie, everyone I used to work with creatively, what used to drive me nuts is it was all their opinion. And I used to sit there and say, your opinion doesn't matter. We all have different opinions. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what the fans are saying, and you get that in the ratings every single week. I used to get in so many fights with people about that, but you hit the nail on the head, Stevie. That's where the agendas come in. That's where people decide who we're going to push, who we're not going to push for their own reasons, and 99.9% of the time, there's no merit involved.
You really seen it from a different light than what I did. I mean, the thing is, I could hear rumors about certain people doing certain things, and I actually looked at things like WCW to me at that time was the Titanic, and man, it's kind of frustrating when I think about it now, because a company that had so much talent and so much going for it, and could have been just the flagship of what was going on, the agendas just brought things down to kneecap level, and that's something that I'll always not be proud of, because WCW, I was proud to be there. I was a team player. Anybody that knows me knows I was a team player. I didn't complain about a lot. But I see things for what they are, and I see people for what they are. And at that time, it was done, systematically. Let's stop this, push this, and see where the chips fall. And that's unfortunate.
Stevie, I have to ask you this. We're talking about the time. I mean, let's face it. I just went with you from legendary tag teams, not to mention the legendary singles competitors at the time, the Ric Flairs and the Stings, and they were getting a little older, but we're still talking about 15 years ago. You bring up, Sid Udy, just you don't see guys like that today. So the foundation was there. There's no question about it. The stars were there. Now all of a sudden we jump into a situation where, it's Eric Bischoff, and now we bring in the Halls, and now we bring in the Nash, and now we bring Lex back, and now we start throwing ridiculous amounts of money at these people. Now, Stevie, I wasn't there at the time, but now that the mentality and the model kind of changed, what's the backstage feeling of the guys that were there up to that point, and the guys, that were still doing consistent numbers and good business and were making TBS money? What was the feeling with those guys once there was this major change, and all of a sudden people are coming in making a ridiculous amount of money, and the guys that brought the company to the dance, some of them are sitting on the back burner?
You know, at that time, a lot of people were very, very confused. A lot of people was really asking the questions, what the hell is going on? What is really going on? I mean, you could just feel the tension in the dressing room sometimes. It got to the point where a lot of guys, I had never really witnessed guys really getting at each other and arguing with each other over different things. But I guess that was just the aura that was really going on, that was in the air. And I think a lot of people could feel it. And I think this big clique starts. You either in that clique or you wasn't in that clique. And if you wasn't in that clique, you got the short end of the stick. And that clique started to do things I've seen just maliciously to people because, I don't know, maybe something happened 10 years ago. And I was, and I used to just sit back and go, wow, man, this is what the business have become. So you kind of just like you're between a rock and a hard place. I'm getting paid to do a job. I got a contract. I come to work. I got to deal with this crap, and I go home. And I had never felt that way in professional wrestling ever before.
Yeah, no, that's when the love of it, you and Booker getting together before Global, training with Scott Casey, these dreams and ambitions you have, and that's when now you're dealt with the underbelly of the wrestling business. I talk about it all the time, and it gets to the point that it's just not fun anymore. I was there, not at your level, Stevie, but I can relate a lot to what you're saying. And Stevie, it's just so funny. It's like I came into WCW and literally I worked for 9 months. I was out the rest of the time with head injuries and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, they had a company. The company was successful. It was making money, maybe not the money some people wanted. All of a sudden, there's a stretch of 3 years, maybe from 96 to 99 in that area where they pay out a truckload of money to overtake Vince McMahon in the ratings. They throw so much money out there, and yes, they do overcome Vince McMahon in the ratings for 3 years, but then all of a sudden after that flash and business goes back to usual. Now we're kind of in debt to $65 million that we agreed to pay all these people. And the thing that drives me nuts, Stevie, is they say that Vince Russo killed WCW when the day I walked in the door, I could kind of see the framework and the foundation and how things were working there. And, they spent a lot of money and they accomplished something, but they accomplished something for 3 years, and then when that 3 years was done, the company was pretty much dead because of the debt it had put itself in.
Vince, a lot of people have approached me and asked me, so he ruined your career. He ended your career. And I didn't know after all these years so many people thought that. And I used to tell them this. To this day, I never had a problem with Vince Russo. I actually felt sorry for Vince Russo. For when him and his partner, Ed Farrar, came in. The way I looked at you guys like, let me give an example. You guys are coming into a government. You get elected president, but you don't really realize, but then again, maybe you do, that this government is really not ran by the president, the Congress, and all that. It's really ran by Wall Street. It's really ran by the money guys. Either you're going to play or you don't play. That guy kind of reminds me of JFK. I'm a rich guy already, so I'm going to try to help people. I'm going to abolish the CIA. I'm going to print bills the right way. I'm going to do right for minorities. Well, you're in the wrong place. And that's the same way I look at you and Vince. You guys come in, you try to come in with you come in with a different agenda. You try to change the outlook on entertainment, where you still got people thinking wrestling. Well, times are changing, and some people will never want to change. And the people that never want to change, you can't change them. You'll never change them. Yeah. They'll have that mindset to the day they die. And you and Ed had some great ideas, man. But I was like, boy, those guys in a position that I wouldn't give to my worst enemy. Now, that was just the way I thought. But hopefully, I don't know. I wasn't there, but I cringed.
Hey, Stevie, let me tell you something, and I've never told you this before. I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to really tell Booker before, but I'm going to tell you because you're his older brother, okay? Bro, I get accused for killing WCW and killing the company and killing all that, and I get hammered for so much stuff by my critics, Stevie. Stevie, my crowning achievement, and when people ask me, I tell them all the time, the one thing, the only thing, let me put it to you that way, that I am proud of is not the ratings of the Attitude Era. That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. My proudest accomplishment was being able to put the belt on Booker T. And Stevie, let me tell you how that went down. I had a creative meeting one day. There was maybe about 6 to 8 people in the room. I brought up to them, if we could change the belt tomorrow, who would you put it on? Every single person in that room said Booker T. Now, Stevie, I also want to say that, of course, I've also been accused of being a racist, and there was not one black person in the room that day. It was 6 white guys that said Booker T. And I got to tell you this, Stevie, this is right before Bash at the Beach. So I got the feedback. It was Booker T unanimously. And I said, you know what? Guess what? This guy's going to get his just due now after all these years. And that's when, so I wrote it in. He's going to win the belt. That's when Bash at the Beach, I go to the building. Hogan has a problem. Hogan doesn't want to play by the rules. He wants to play the creative control card. And Stevie, all I could think about was this. I don't care what happens to me. I don't care what I have to go through. Booker T is leaving the building with the belt, period, end of story. I didn't care if it was going to cost me my job. I didn't care. You know why? Because it was the right thing to do. And that is the one achievement in my life that I'm more proud of than anything else in wrestling. I don't care if it cost me my job. I could care less. You know your brother, bro. I know your brother, and he deserved that more than anybody else.
Especially if it's been said by 8 people.
Exactly. Bro, I swear it was everybody, Stevie. Not one person said it. Anybody. Stevie, let me jump ahead now, too. So now 2000 comes. WCW's closing the doors. What is the situation now with you and Book? Now, Stevie, I know he goes and you don't. So just kind of walk me through now. WCW selling to the WWE. What's going on with you and your brother?
Actually, at that time, I was so fed up with pro wrestling, period. I was so fed up. I didn't want to hear the name pro wrestling. And when we got the word what was going to go down, like I said earlier, I felt as though we put a lot of, blood, sweat, and tears into a company becoming something. We felt as though we had been an intricate part of WCW becoming successful. Mm-hmm. We felt as though we had put tag team wrestling back on the map where people would actually pay money to go see it again. So we were company guys, and we wanted the company to flourish. And a lot of people didn't know this. We had chances to go to New York, and we chose to stay in WCW. We did. A lot of people don't know that, but I'll tell you. So when I heard that WWE was going to come over and take over the show, I told my brother, I can't be a part of that. No disrespect to Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, you, anybody that worked for you, because it wasn't the wrestlers. Wrestlers can always go somewhere to work. But it's all the other people that I had became friends with that were behind the scenes that got treated like crap, that didn't get told anything. They just got the rug pulled from under them. And my brother was like, well, you know, they're going to be scouting talent. I'm like, they can scout it, but I won't be there. I got a ticket to go there. No, I didn't go. I took the ticket down to Continental Airlines. I had it changed into 2 tickets. And me and a buddy of mine went to Vegas to watch Evander Holyfield fight Lennox Lewis. That's what I did. Then after that, I went overseas for 3.5 years. Because at that time, I had a detail shop that was getting bigger and bigger, so I wanted to be at home more. And my daughter was getting bigger at the time, and I wanted to be at home more. So I just told him I don't want to be on the road 300 days a year anymore. So that's what happened.
Now I got to ask you this, Stevie. I knew a little something about it. I didn't know a lot about it, but I can ask you now because your brother, you probably didn't watch Raw tonight. He brought it up on Raw. So I now he opened the door for me to bring this up and ask you this question. A Booker said on Raw tonight that you and him did not talk for 6 years. I knew there was a little something going on because I work with Booker a little at TNA. Is that true?
No, wait a minute. You say he brought this up on Raw?
Bro, he said this on Raw tonight. Yes.
And what did he say?
Basically, what happened, Stevie, was there was a match between Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes have been breaking up. So they had to bring in Dusty Rhodes tonight as the peacemaker, but they wound up breaking up anyway. And Booker turned around and said, I know how that they feel. Me and my brother didn't talk for 6 years.
Okay.
Bro, Stevie, I would not make that up. The both of you, the both of you would fly out here and bust my head open. But I'm watching this and I'm like, well, I'm going to be talking to Stevie in 15 minutes. Hopefully, he'll give me a little insight.
Well, no, we didn't talk. Not in any in-depth conversations. Put it like that.
What was it? Was it wrestling related or just personal? I'm not going to dig into something if you don't want to talk about it. I'm cool.
It was pretty much just personal.
Okay, it was personal. But now we're back.
Okay.
You and him, right? Everything's good now.
Right.
Okay. Now, Stevie, in 2005, you opened a wrestling academy, correct?
Right. Me and my brother opened a wrestling academy.
So Stevie, was there that itch to get back in the business, but not on the wrestling end of it? Is that what led to it?
Yes and no.
Well, explain.
Well, I never really looked at it the way you just brought it up, but
Stevie, you got to understand something. Listen, Stevie, I don't want to interrupt you, but you got to understand something. I've been called the Oprah of wrestling podcast. So, bro, I ask you these questions you never been asked before. That's what I do now, Stevie. Come on.
It's not the fact that I've never been asked a question before, but sometimes in the way you put the question. That's
Oprah.
all.
I'm Oprah, bro. I'm Oprah.
I think Oprah's a little bit more subtle than you. Be that as it may. But yeah, in a way, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, being on that end is one thing, thinking another is another thing. You still want to be attached but you don't want to be all the way in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you can try back. I'm a kind of person that likes to give back. So if you can give back in any kind of way, I was pretty much thinking on those lines more than anything.
Now, Stevie, when you said you went overseas in about 2000 for 3.5 years, were you working overseas or was that other business?
No, that was working.
Oh, you were still wrestling overseas.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Stevie, let me ask you this. When you start training these guys, you and Booker at your academy, and now it's 2005, you've been out of WCW for 5 years now. When you're now training these young hopefuls in the business, do you see a different kind of athlete and a different time and a different wrestler than when you and your brother broke in the business?
Yes, 100%. And the attitude is totally different. I think the business has been so exposed to the fact that people actually believe their press clippings or the press clippings of what they see on YouTube, what they see on television, what they see, here and there, and all these other exposés that have been done through the years. And they bring that attitude in the gym with it. You have to almost like train them out of it, because I guess the business has been exposed so much that people got their own outlook of professional wrestling.
Well, but Stevie, let me ask you this, because I dealt with this a lot, and you said your daughter's 20 years old, right, Stevie?
Yes.
Yeah, Stevie, my kids are 27, 24, and my daughter's 19. And Stevie, I dealt a lot with this with the young athletes coming up at TNA. I want to see if you deal with this, and I want to get your opinion of this. Stevie, all of a sudden, you guys, it's the old paying your dues and, getting in the ring with the veterans and them stretching you out, and the car rides where you're just getting all this knowledge. This is part of the education. All of a sudden, you got these 22-year-olds today that want to be wrestlers, and the word that came to my mind immediately was entitlement. They were entitled to all this stuff. There were no dues to pay. There were no long car rides. There were no getting stretched out. Do you understand what I'm saying? Did you feel a lot of that with the younger athletes?
It's still going on. It just wasn't then. It's on a daily basis. When we came up, the last thing that me and my brother was thinking about was actually being stars. We just wanted to be professional wrestlers, and we wanted to be good at it. We never thought about being a tag team. We wanted to go be professional wrestlers and be good at it. And at that time, that's what we thought about. Now, once things start to take off little by little, it was almost like, okay, we can be as good as those guys. But now it's like when somebody comes through the door, they want you to look at them as the next Ric Flair, as the next Hulk Hogan, as the next whoever. And that's how they feel it should be. While that is, I go back to the word that I've been using since this conversation started. It's the evolution of professional wrestling.
And it's also too, Steve. I also think it's the generation. Because I say that. Because bro, listen, I'm the first one to say I see a lot of that in my own kids. And there's just something about the generation and the entitlement and wanting things handed to you that I don't. It drives me nuts, bro. Stevie, how do you break them as a trainer, Stevie? How do you break them out of that mindset?
After a few sessions, after a few conversations, after a few getting dropped on your head a few times, how bad do you want it? How bad do you really want it? So slowly but surely, you'll weed out the ones that really, like you said, feel as though they've been anointed certain privileges. Those people that are, have that affluent state of mind of professional wrestling, if that makes sense. You get rid of them slowly but surely, and the ones that really see things for what it is, hey, they'll show their hand sooner or later.
Hey, Stevie, let me ask you this as we get to the tail end of this. What is your perception of today's overall product? And if there was one thing you could change based on your experience and being there and doing that, what would that one thing be?
What I miss about professional wrestling, what I miss is nowadays it's such show business, such a show to the point where the wrestling really doesn't mean very much anymore. It's such a show. And that's what I would change. What I would like to see is the fact, I would like to see wrestling not show me everything. Save me some. Nowadays, every match is a top guy against a top guy. If I see top guys fight each other all the time, what the hell am I paying for a pay-per-view for? But that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
The build-up is not there anymore. And that's what I miss. And if I could change anything, I would bring back the build-up.
Are you talking about build-up through match, build-up through story, or build-up through both?
All of them.
Yeah.
Everything. All in one.
Yeah,
yes.
Things don't mean what they used to mean is what you're basically saying, correct?
Nobody cares about who wins and loses, which maybe they never have to a certain degree. But when a guy finally lost a match to somebody, hey, it meant something to people. Now they just want to see the 55 false finishes, and finally the guy gets a roll up by, pulling him, put his legs on the rope, and the match is over and everybody claps. So Stevie, it's a big difference.
You know what I was thinking about last night, and I wrote about it today, and I'm sure you remember. I know you're not from the East Coast, and he was a WWF guy. Remember Stan the Man Stasiak?
Yes.
Stan the Man Stasiak used to beat people with a heart punch, and you literally believe that the guy's heart stopped beating.
Right.
Right? And now you look at today, and it's like you said, bro, you can hit somebody over the head with a kitchen sink today, and they're going to kick out.
Right. That's so true, man. That's what I miss.
Me too.
That's what I miss.
Stevie, listen, I want you to plug the school. Tell us about the school, how people can come down there, train with you and your brother, the best trainers in the world, and then I want you to tell me about this big reunion that's coming up.
Well, February the 21st, Booker T and Stevie Ray go back in the ring together, Harlem Heat, one night only. We are calling it Final Heat. Final Heat, which means this might be the final time you see the Heat, but it might not be. It all depends. But that's what we're doing this Saturday night, Pasadena Convention Center. And if anybody wants to get a hold to realityofwrestling.com, if you're a professional wrestler and being trained by people that are world champions, that myself for one, every continent except for Greenland. And I'm looking forward to going there someday. But that's what we got going on, Vince. And one more thing, I'll just throw this out there. I start shooting a movie next month, March the 7th, and the movie is called The Streets of New York.
Nice! Are you shooting it in New York?
Actually, no. We're shooting it in Houston, and we're going to make it look like New York.
Oh, nice. And when does that start?
It's an independent film. We started shooting beginning, I think, the 7th or 8th, something to that effect, right in there. The writer is Zach Salazar, really good friend of mine. Cast me in the movie, and I'm playing an African-American gangster.
Now, Stevie, is this your first crack at acting?
No.
What else have you done?
Well, I've done commercials, and in all actuality, I acted in high school.
Nice.
And
Going back to your roots.
huh?
Going back to your roots.
Yeah, a little bit. I always kind of enjoyed it. I've done a few commercials, few things here and there. So no movies though.
Well, you got your first one coming up March 7th.
Yep, March 7th, streets of New York. Everybody be looking for that.
Now, Stevie, one last question. Next week, the big match. No, this weekend, Saturday night.
Yes,
Harlem Heat.
20.
Now, listen. Let's call a spade a spade. We know Book is gonna play the card now. Well, I'm on national TV every Monday night, and millions of people see me, and I'm sitting at the announce booth. You know he's gonna want to get the 1, 2, 3 because he's Booker T. But listen, I say, wait a minute. You're the older brother, bro. Now you're a legitimate movie star. We gotta wipe out the stigma of you losing to me. So, bro, I think are you gonna go over in this match? Bro, are you gonna play the card? Or are you gonna buckle down to little brother? Bro, this is the same guy. This is the same guy that went on national TV today with the dirty laundry about you and him not talking, bro. Well, come on. Stevie.
We're gonna have to have a conversation since you put it like that. We're gonna have a conversation here the next day or so.
See, bro, nobody interviews you like this, Stevie. We got to call a spade here, bro. I'm looking out for you. I already looked out for him many years ago. It's time to give back, man.
You're right. I agree with you 100%.
All right, there you go. Hey, Stevie, man, listen, bro, it has been an honor and a joy having you on here tonight. We've got the, what do you call it, the Stevie Ray Booker T Wrestling Academy?
No, it's realityofwrestling.com. Oh, the wrestling school.
Yes.
Has no names on it.
Okay, because if it was, I just want to make sure if it was.
It's Reality of Wrestling Wrestling Academy.
Okay, because I want to make sure if the names are attached, I just want to make sure your name goes first. Stevie Ray and Booker T's, pretty much, yeah.
just Reality of Wrestling Academy.
And now, what if they want to get tickets? Where do they go to get tickets for Saturday night?
Like I said, realityofwrestling.com. It'll pretty much direct them to where they can get tickets.
All right. Well, Stevie, listen, man. I'm so grateful I got to talk to you again, bro. You were always you're always one of my favorite people, and just getting to see your face again lightened me up tonight, bro. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. It's good talking to you too, man. When I heard you had a podcast, I was like, I got to get on there, man. I got to get on there.
Well, listen, you're going to make a return engagement, especially after this big match on Saturday, because I want to find out who gets the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Stevie.
No problem, bro.
Take care.